Hi, everybody. Welcome to week two. This week we will cover the concept of validation. So, the first part of this lecture will cover what is validated. So, after we complete this part, you should be able to differentiate between processes and systems that need to be validated and those that don't have to be. You should be able to describe typical analytical test methods that are validated, and you should be able to explain how to access degree of impact of processes and systems on product quality. So, what is validated? Any process, system, utility, and analytical test method that directly impacts product quality is validated. So essentially, the equipment that you use to manufacture a product, the utilities that go into the product, the systems, the process, anything that impacts product quality ultimately needs to be validated to prove that it's the equipment or process or system is fit for intended use and that it can um, be reproducible and be able to make these batches consistently on a day-to-day basis. So that's why we validate. There are broad categories that identify equipment, system, and processes that require validation in the pharmaceutical industry. So these are support systems like uh, your your water for injection or your utilities. You have your equipment. These are equipment that you use to manufacture equipment such as your bioreactors, your centrifuges, your processes. This is the overall process, your steps that you take to manufacture your system, computer system. So that's huge. This is huge now because we now live in a highly automated times where a lot of the processes are automated, a lot of the batch records are automated, a lot of the inputs to the validation is automated, or your process is automated. So those computer systems that feed and help you with your process needs to be validated in your analytical assay. So all the assays, all the QC testing, all the lab equipment that goes into testing to make sure you have quality product also needs to be validated. Um, so also things that need to be validated as well is your support systems, like we mentioned earlier. So this gives you a better or a high level overview of what these support systems consist of. So usually when you manufacture, you need to make sure you have facilities, utilities, which consist of your Wi-Fi, water for injection, your HVAC units, your gases, your clean steam, your CIP systems, your buffer systems, acid, caustic. So all these support systems, they all need to be validated. And usually these are first to be validated because you want to make sure what's going into your product uh, is validated first. So usually you validate your support systems first. So some of you might ask, what type of equipment needs to be validated? So some of the equipment that we validate are your steam in place systems or SIP, controlled temperature environments such as incubators, freezers, stability chambers, your autoclaves, your filling and capping machines, your viral and activation vessel, freeze dryers, viral washers, and analytical equipment. So these are some types or examples of equipment, but it's not all inclusive. There are many other types of equipment that you can use in your facility that needs to be validated, but this is just an example. So it can give you an idea of what to validate. So when you talk about processes, what do you validate? So this can include your sterilization and sterile package sealing, your clean room conditions. You might want to, if you're going into a grade A environment, a grade B, a grade C environment, you want to make sure to validate to ensure that those different environments or room conditions are they really maintaining what they intend to do. Aseptic filling, lyophilization, plastic injection molding, cleaning processes. So um, once you go through your process, you have to clean your equipment. And then you have a subset of uh, validation called cleaning validation, where you need to ensure that on a batch to batch, are you getting adequate cleaning in your process? So you have a subset called cleaning validation. So you need to validate your cleaning process because you want to prevent any contamination going on from batch to batch. So that's what you need to ensure with your cleaning processes, storage and warehouse distribution, and then finally formulation and processing. This gives you another overview of what is validated. So as we said earlier, computer systems that are used to generate records, store or control GMP information or processes are validated. So these include, like I said, your batch records, any document used to record data. These are generally validated. Also, computer hardware or software systems that impact processes, engineering systems, and testing methodologies are validated. So these are things like your Delta V, usually that controls your process, or um, you also have um, um, your automated batch records called MBR that needs to be validated. You also have your system that collects your lab results, LIMS, that needs to be validated. So these are all different types of computer hardware that feeds into what you're trying to manufacture that needs to be validated. Lastly, this tells you what you don't need to validate. So we don't need to validate non-CGMP systems, such as your email. The emails that you use to communicate back and forth need to be validated. Your IM, your instant messaging don't need to be validated. It's only things that impact your day-to-day manufacturing and are considered GMP that needs to be validated. So going into your analytical testing methods, what is validated? This includes HPLC, UPLC, UV spectrophotometer, sterility, your bioburden, endotoxin, and environmental monitoring. I'm not the most experienced in the QC aspect, but as you're going through your processes, you'll notice a lot of talk about bioburden, endotoxin, environmental monitoring, HPLC, UV, all these things that you hear about. Again, they need to be validated to ensure that they intend to do what they are supposed to do. So this diagram right here is an impact spectrum. So it kind of gives you a high-level overview of what is direct impact to the product versus non-impact. And again, only those that have direct impact need to be validated versus not. So how we design and choose to use these systems can affect the impact. But generally, if you're talking about your parking facilities, elevators, your office AC, these are not validated. But once you get to your BMS systems, that's automation, your production AC, your autoclaves, your pure water, these have direct impact, thus need to be validated. So this gives you like it's another high level overview of what needs to be versus what doesn't need to be validated. So first knowledge check. And again, these will be ultimately being your tests, but I want to get you thinking of what as we go through this lecture. So first knowledge check. All engineering systems must be validated. So give this a thought. And again, this will be on your test, and you'll see this later. But this is just to get you guys thinking. Another question. Non-CGMP systems need to be validated. Again, we talked about this, but just to get you thinking. Is it true or false? All right, now we're going to part 5, when to validate. So in this section, you'll be able to distinguish between verification and validation concepts. You'll be able to differentiate between verification and validation in various industry examples. So validation versus verification. So verification is the evaluation of whether or not a product, service, or system complies with a regulation, requirement, or specification. So usually verification involves confirmation by examination and it's non-destructive. So that's kind of more verification. Now let's look at fully verified. It's the ability to confirm with high confidence all key quality attributes by reviewing, inspecting, testing, auditing, or otherwise establishing and documenting whether or not items, processes, services, or documents conform to specified requirements. 100% inspections or 100% tests. So that's when the definition of fully verified. So again, if something does not have a direct quality attribute or direct product impact, maybe it could just go through a verification step, whereas something that has direct product impact or quality impact needs to be validated. So when you start going into the validation world, you might start saying, "Oh, what needs to be validated versus what needs to be just verification." So this gives you a high level overview of what or the definition of this terminology is.